So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory. So, last time we left off, we had finished our Fixonium power plant, and now it is time to move on to the final project parts. And we've done a lot of work preparing for them in the time building up to now, so it should be relatively simple. So we're going to start with the easiest of them. So, biochemical sculptors. We need assembly director systems, fixite trigons, and water. Now, if I have done my math correct previously, we should already have enough of all of these, but we're going to have to recheck the math. So first we're going to have to find the assembly director systems. Then we're going to have to check on the fixite trigons. And if we have both of those, then we should be all good to go. So, let's see if I can find assembly director system. Okay, here they are. They're over here, sort of north of the swamp, just a little bit. So let's head over there and see if we can find them and see if they're producing fast enough. So let's head on over. And let's see here. Where is it gonna be? Is it these? Probably not, right? You are making radio control units. So that's not it. How about those guys down there are apparently thermopropulsion rockets. So is it even further down? We definitely saw them over in this area. They might be some of those factories down there. And it's hard to tell for sure. So let's drop down, and hopefully we get close enough to some powered building. There we go. We don't fall to our death. Alright, now we're here. And what is this? This is making modular engines for some reason. Is that going into these machines, which are currently dead? Alright, that's thermopropulsion rockets, and they're broken. We're going to need to fix that at some point. So, yeah, we might as well do that now, because we're going to need these for our ballistic warp drive production. So while we're in the area, we might as well figure out what the problem is. We've got this belt here. Alright, we do have fused frames on this belt, but obviously just not enough. So that is suspicious. And actually it looks like maybe there was just a temporary disruption. So maybe we don't have enough of some input. So these guys are 87%, and I don't know what they're short on. Looks like maybe aluminum casings is the culprit, maybe nitrogen. It's tough to say. Let's see if this cycles over. Okay, now the aluminum casings are definitely the problem because they're nowhere near a full stack. So, let's see here. Are we sending those in on too slow belts or something? Aluminum casings there on Mark II belts, and they're not being belt speed limited or anything, so that's good. And then that's Mark III. Back here we have a nowhere near overfilled Mark V. And then we go back here. This one looks closer to filled, but still very much isn't. Okay, so I think the problem is just aluminum trains, in all likelihood. Let's see, these guys are 62.5 inputs. And they are all running. So yeah, the problem is probably aluminum trains, so that is something we will check on later. Let's just write down aluminum shortage question mark. Let's just write that down so that we know that that's a thing we need to pay attention to. And then let's try to find these assembly director systems. So where are you? Drone ports. Can we show these on the map? It's down here, sort of in the center, so like directly south of me. I thought that this was all nuclear stuff, but apparently not. So let's head into here. Oh, is this actually just directly above me? This might be one of those factories all the way up there. Yeah, I bet it is, actually. So let's fly up and see if we can spot it. Does this wall have power running along it? It does. So we can fly up this wall to get all the way up to the top. And then hopefully spot those assembly director systems. Up we go. Worst case, we can check on our aluminum input. Now we're up here at train level. Okay, so this is probably the assembly director system factory up here, if I had to guess. Let's get all the way up to the top. And yes, we've got adaptive control units here. They're doing manufacturers. So this is showing 91% lack of adaptive control units. And those come in from here and from a drone port, which I believe is a pretty short trip. So this row here seems to be mostly working, but there might be a circuit board problem. At least there was for like one of these machines, and all the rest of them are fine for some reason. So let's just go investigate that circuit board problem first, and then we're going to have to check the other ADS factory to see if something funky is going on there. So this is all a Mark 1 belt. We just continue along this way. And we drop down. So we apparently have 25 going this way, 40 going that way. So are all of these doing fine? Plastic is a bit sketch, but probably okay. Because it's all showing at 100%, even if the numbers in there are low. Okay, so I think this is probably alright. I'm just going to trace back the plastic to see if weird stuff is going on with you. So you have... these guys are all feeding the plastic. You're not full on fuel. These two are. That's probably okay. So everything I'm looking here looks a little bit sketchy, but mostly fine. It doesn't look like anything in here is broken. So I'm going to say that this is probably all good. And the fuel input does not look at all sufficient. What's going on with that? So these guys make the fuel over here. And you are both at 100%, but incredibly sketchy heavy oil production. But the heavy oil is going at 100% and it's totally fine, so it's probably okay. It's probably okay. We might be in some weird thing where we rounded down by like 1,000th or something, and that's what's happening, but it looks all good there. So now let's head, and it should be just over here, right? These guys for the other adaptive control unit production. And you are low on automated wiring pretty considerably. Yeah, quite a lot. Alright, so automated wiring. Which one of these is it? Well, it's going to be this belt because it's empty. So we will follow this up. I built this factory in a weird way. I don't like this, but whatever. So these guys are low on cable, which comes in through this way, and that's 50 a minute. And so each of these guys has 2 machines making cable. They're low on quick wire. Alright, so the quick wire... Is this a splitting thing or an actual quick wire supply thing? That's what we need to figure out next. So we're going to follow the quick wire all the way back to its source and see if that's also low. And if it isn't, then there's some funky things going on with the belt splitting. Alright, so the quick wire comes up this way and over to here, and more weird splitting stuff. There's definitely the chance for something to go wrong in all this. But it comes from here. And okay, I have notes for what these are supposed to be, but let's just go up. We can use those notes in a minute, but yeah, these are 90%, 89%, so that is short on deuterium ingots, which apparently come from down here and then up this way. So our deuterium ingot shortage, is there any way to get through to the next floor? Yes, there is, over here. So we fly all the way up this way, follow this belt all the way back to see where the deuterium ingot shortage is coming from. See, there's a hole right there. It's coming from this row of machines, which, okay, that's mysterious. Okay, no, here we found it. It's actually an output limiting problem. It's actually an output limiting problem. So we have 11.079 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 11.079 times 6 is 66.4. But this is all on a Mark 1 belt. So that's not right. Okay, so this belt there is Mark 2. Does it continue down Mark 2 beneath this? It doesn't. So that's our problem right there. We upgrade that belt, and now we should have enough deuterium going through. And are there any other spots where this becomes Mark 1? I'm just gonna hold the upgrade button next to it. This is showing 66.474 on that sign. That's a Mark II belt there. And that's Mark II, as is that. Just need to get a little bit further down. And somehow I've selected a large fan. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, and then this gets down into the splitter, which looks like it's connected directly to. So we should be fine. We should be fine on the Caterium now. Now let's see if we can find... Yeah, so here we have the first sort of burst of the Caterium moving faster than it should. So that should be 66 point whatever. And that should make its way down here into these guys. And then back up to here. And then we will have enough quickwire production. So yeah, these stop every so often. That should be resolved. And it'll just take a little while for that. It'll actually take ages for this to trickle all the way through, because it needs to make its way through like a bunch of steps on a bunch of slow belts. And then it needs to also make its way through a drone connection. So it's gonna take a while, but the problem should be solved now. As we can see now, these guys are running around the clock again. And that should be that. Alright, quickwire fixed. Just weird little sloppy problems from earlier in the game before I put syncs on every single line so that I could tell problems like this existed. But that's definitely working now. And these belts at least are relatively fast, so the quickwire should make its way through a lot better. Guess we'll see how well that works out. But in the meantime, let's pop... Do we already have a drone port on this? Is that what that is over there? Yeah, probably, because we were bringing these to the space elevator, right? That's how we did that. So yeah, now we can just redirect this. We can just redirect this to our new factory. And that should be all fine. And we're going to have a nice, solid crate of them for the meantime. Now let's just check on production rates. So these are 0.625 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 0.625 times 12 is 7.5. And our biochemical sculptors, we're doing the typical 10 machines worth, which means we need 5. So we should have some spare ADS actually. So that's cool. Alright, so the next thing we need to... So this is all set up, right? It's already got its drone port and everything. The next thing we need to check on are the fixite trigons. Make sure we have enough of those. So let's do a quick respawn. And even at the current 90% rate, we'll have enough for that. So we don't even need to let it trickle all the way through necessarily, although it will. Okay, so fixite trigons are over that way somewhere, I think. Hopefully we'll be able to spot something while we fly. Oh, it's going to be down here, isn't it, actually? Pretty sure it's this giant row of machines down here. Yeah, here it is. Alright, so we just drop in here. Swap back to this. So these are making fixite ingots. They are running at 100%, it looks like. And they're all summer slooped. So we have 133.334 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5 is 666.6, probably 0.666, right? Okay, so then how many trigons does that give us? Is it like 1 to 3? Yes. So we multiply that by 3, so this should be 2,000 trigons on the nose. Now let's see where we're using these and what we're using them for. So we have just 3 things. We have the neuroquantum processors, which I think we made 4 of these instead of 3, so I think that would be 600. And then we have the Fixonium fuel rods, which I believe we made 25 of. So that would be 1,000. And then we have the biochemical sculptors, which is 400. Okay, yeah, so I think we have exactly the correct amount, and this looks like it's running at 100%. So we have our 2 belts running along this way. We do need to be able to get all 2,000 out of the train station, right? Because otherwise, we don't have any margin for error. But it should be fine, right? We can load at like 6,000. Yeah, we can load this at like 12,000 a minute or something if we need to, so it should be fine. And the bulk of the usage is already happening, and the boxes, the train stations are entirely filled. So all we need to do is we just need to find a nice convenient place to build this. So buy water, buy the train network. Do we just go straight down from here and not even need to build train stuff? How much water do we need? It's like an embarrassingly small amount, right? Yeah, literally 100 water. So we need to be able to fit in 1 singular water extractor. And we've got water down there. Okay, so what we can do is we can just siphon off 400 trigons from these belts. Now, here's the question. Are these 2 expected to be equal going into the train station? Or are we going to have weird problems with that? Yeah, so these are split. Wait, no, these are individually split amongst all 5 each, so we can just take 400 off of one of these and then not break anything. So let's do that. So we're just going to go back this way. There's water down there and power. So let's just get in a splitter somewhere along here. And let's have it be before this whole row. I'm going to take that out. Get another smart splitter in, because it's annoyingly kind of just how you have to do it. This row should be 1,000. Okay, so then we get this row goes up to there, so we just have to shove that back a little bit. And like that, and then that will be center overflow left any. So then we're going to take this belt out, and we need to get 400 out of it, which is just 1,200 divided by 3. So if we get a priority merger there, followed by it's actually just a regular splitter, right? So we have U, and then we have 2 of them go back with priority. 1 of them goes forwards, and then this finally connects up. Alright, so that should give us our 400 fixite trigons a minute out of this. And then we just need to... Actually, is this water? There's water right over here, right? Surely we can just find 100 spare water out of these pipes, right? Although this is for aluminum, so do I want to risk that? Not especially. Speaking of aluminum, we actually had that aluminum shortage. We happen to be standing right here, so I better take a look at it. So this is the aluminum supply for the fixite, and then it all goes into the trains right over here. And it's filling up, but there's just a train sitting in the station. Okay, no, it was basically just about done filling, but for some reason we have shortages here, especially in this last row. Alright, time to check out what's going on with all the aluminum. Hooray for random side quests. Okay, so yeah, this second row that we built down here is bricked. Now, too much heavy oil residue output, that's unsurprising. So this is blocked by having too much alumina solution output. And this is blocked by having too much water output. So why is that? Let's do the math. This is 210 plus... Why are all three of these different? Is that intentional? Is that intentional? Oh boy, what on earth was I cooking here? So we have 216 that way. And that was connected up to water from this. So, okay, so this is the fresh water input right here. So you get your fresh water, you produce 216 alumina solution. Then these guys do the bulk of the work. How much alumina solution is going into this pipe? Oh, because it's 2 inputs and 2 outputs, right? So then this takes 3, then these take 360 each. So that's 720, this is 504. Okay, so this is 720 in, 720 out, but in a weird way. And so that should be exactly the right amount of alumina solution going into these guys. And then their water outputs, we have 210, 210, and that goes into this to make the 420. Alright, so I don't understand how these got limited like this. If they were running continually, that shouldn't be an issue. There might have been some sort of problem with them not being able to run continually. Okay, so let's see here. How do we solve that? So we can solve it in the short term by just draining these water pipes manually. In the long term, we need to figure out what caused that. So let's try just manually draining each of these guys. And each of these guys as well. And then these guys can go. Alright, so now we're outputting scrap and it's all fine again. But you're already mostly overfilled on water. So let's pull even more water out to see if that improves things. You have to remember you have to get like quite a significant amount of water out of these guys to fix the problems. Okay, so that's all going. And I don't know how to do this. Alright, I just had an idea which could potentially be quite silly. But if we, like, take an output priority off of these at lower priority outputs than the others, and then put it into here at higher priority inputs than these, then that might help. But it won't unstick it if they get completely jammed, though. Alright, let's pull some more water out. And hope that this does the trick. Oh, you're the one with fresh water input anyways, so that won't do anything. Need to pull it out of view. Alright, so this is up and running again, more or less. And we just do stuff like that. Pull 50 out of view. And then we pull 50 out of you. And that should be fully functional. It probably isn't. But at least it's doing something. So that's going. Everything here is starting up again. And I wonder if it was like a bauxite shortage. So I think I've discovered this before, and even in a perfect loop, if there's not enough bauxite, then it can break. So that could be the situation. Or it could just be that there's some weird problem in the middle of all this. I don't know. Let's... Okay, so what we can do is we can take... We could take those excess waters and bring them over here, or we could just not worry about that. So we need water for our biochemical sculptors, and we've got this input pipe here, which is doing 360, and we need 100, which is hardly any. So, does this pipe go up to do anything else? No, it just dead ends up there. So, let's just bring it over then. So this pipe goes up onto that little ledge in there. And we are just going to bring you over. I'm pretty sure this pipe is connected up to a full 600. If not, we will promptly figure out when this doesn't work. So this just comes over this way. And somewhere in here, right? This is the input for the SAM for all this. And yes, the fixite trigons are just over that way. So just a little bit further. So just run this foundation over. So that goes over to there. The water pipe comes with us. And that is that. Okay, so we have trigons. We have water. So now we just need to get the space in. We need to get the space in for the ADS drone port and then the actual machines. So, drone port in. Oh, is this fueled on the input side? I think so. I'll fuel it on this side just to be sure. Doesn't really hurt or even make it more complicated. So this will be biochemical sculptor. Oh, that's abbrevious. Let's do abbreviations. BCS, ADS, source. Probably. No, wait. Supplier. I don't know. I am so bad at coming up with what I should be calling these things. Oh, wait, no. This is just BCS. That one's the fuel supplier. This one is the BCS. ACS. supplier. Alright, so we get that in. Then you get a drone, you get a drone. And these get connected up, connected back to the power line. And you are going to go to rocket fuel. Easy to just search rocket fuel source. Off you go. And then you... Oh, it's ADS supplier. I just realized that. ADS source. Alright, so that is that. Now we grab some packaged rocket fuel. And you get half a stack to start. You get half a stack to start. And that should be our assembly director system supply for this factory. And this is going to be a very simplistic factory, though. So, what even machine are these made in? Just blenders. Very cool. Okay, so let's get some space. And we're going to need a bunch of space. Alright, so now we go and look for... This is 2 solids and 1 fluid, right? Pretty sure that's what this is. So we get these blueprints. We can pop those in. And auto connect build mode. It's 2, 4, 6, 8. Ah, that's not good. Swap to jetpack real quick and fly back up. We don't have power over here and I slipped off the edge. That was almost seriously annoying. Okay, so now we bring this power line over here and connect it up to these. How many of these did I get in before that happened? So that is 8, right? So that's 8. So let's add 1 more. 2 solid, 1 fluid blender. Just like that. Okay, now you get to be biochemical sculptor. And set to full production. Now we copy and paste. And we just paste all the way through. And a little bit more. Alright, so those are now all pasted. Now we just need to get that last connection over there. Now we just need to connect all these guys in. So we have 1 to 5s. Right, so 1 to 5 balancer here, and you go in somewhere like that, I don't know. Then, how many items of each of these? So it's 40 trigons per machine for 400 total, 0.5 assembly director systems per machine for 5 total. So either way, these belts, so these belts here for the trigons need to be Mark IIs. So we just get all of these guys in. And all the way down this way into that last one. Alright, and then the trigon belt goes into there. So there's our 400 trigons. Then we have to hop over to the other side and get another 1 to 5 balancer in over here. So let's get a little bit of space for that. And pop you in. then this just needs to connect up with Mark 1 belts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we just connect this all the way back over to there, and that will be that. Then we just need to get the water in. So this belt just runs along to get the ADS connected to it. And this, I probably should have built some of this stuff up before I put in the drone port, because this is not a convenient way of grabbing the output from the drone port, but it's fine. So that's all good. These guys are returning, actually, right there. Both return at around the same time. And that should give us our assembly director systems, and this is going to be more than enough. Actually, let's limit this. So we have 60 to 5. Let's see, that is a 1 to 12 splitter. So we need to get 1/12 of this. So we can go a half, and then a half, and then a third. And then those get fed by a merger. So the belt goes there, which then connects through all of those. So we get a half back to there, then we get another half back to there, and then these are actually going to need their own mergers there and there, because we need to connect up the 1/3 part of it. Alright, so that is all in. So that's a half, then a half, and then a third. And these need to be medium priority to the outsides. And that should send 5 a minute through the center into this whole row. That should be all clear. Then we just need to attach the water pipe up. And is this getting water? It seems to be struggling. We're gonna have to probably... It's probably a head lift thing, if I had to guess. If not, I guess we'll need to work out how to get more water into the pipe. Alright, so that goes into there. And then we will run all the way back here. And there's water all the way up to this level, but not any further, and this isn't filling entirely. Okay, let's just get a pump in here somewhere, and connect that up to a random power pole. And that should... Tier 1 pump should be enough, right? It's giving like 12-ish head lift at the moment. That's going up. Okay, I don't think we went 20 meters up from here. No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay, did I just clip straight through the floor? I think I just clipped straight through the floor. I've never done that before. That's cool. So the water all goes in. We're like 500 a minute there, like 300 a minute there, so it seems to be working. It seems to be working, as long as we aren't hitting the head lift limit of that pipe. So if that is 20 meters up, then we might have issues, but it looks like it's fine. It's fluctuating between like 11 and like 16. I don't know why it's fluctuating like that. Probably just because of the water trying to fill the pipe. we head all the way over here. Those pipes are full. And these pipes up here are starting to fill now. So let's wait for that to go through. And the assembly director systems are almost into the splitter side of things. So we're just sort of waiting on both of those. And that should happen eventually. The flow rate in this pipe is wildly inconsistent for unknown reasons. But it looks like it is enough, sort of on average. Like, we only need it to be an average of 100. And there are those periods where it's completely zeroed out, but it seems mostly... No, okay, maybe there actually is a problem here. It's very, very hard to say for sure. There's definitely no water up there. Okay, I think we've hit... I think that must be a head lift thing. So let's put another pump in there and connect it up. So now we have 500 flow rate going through here. Yeah, because this itself is like it's like 8 or 9 meters. It's not completely surprising that that's having head lift problems. So this is showing a head lift of 15.3. And it's definitely pumping a whole bunch of water into all of these guys. And they are filling up one by one. Hopefully we can get that water mostly sorted out before these machines actually start running and draining the water. Just because having it be full to start with would be quite convenient. And this is now starting to struggle a little bit with flow rate. And the head lift is wobbly as well. But we are starting to see some green lights on machines. So the biochemical sculptor are getting produced now. And those go out. We're making 20 of these per minute. So these are going to go out and get output over to this side. Where let's get a setup for them. Actually, can we just bring them... Can we just loop them around this way? Just so that they go into a drone port. So we get a drone port there. And because I don't know how the fueling is back at the space elevator, let's just get conveyor splitter there. Loops around that way. And then this goes up and over. And then it can loop in to this to give fuel there. Okay, so now we just have to attach these guys in, and we still haven't seen any of these complete. I guess it takes 2 minutes for them to finish, and the belt is also slow. But they're all running currently, even this last one down here. So let's get these. These just go around this way. They don't need a box or anything, do they? Because they're just going to go straight into the space elevator. And we're never going to need to stockpile them. So these will just come down. And then out this way. And in. Wait, where's this? It's over this way, apparently. So we don't need to bring them as far over, so they can pop down like there instead. So we just get all of this stuff attached in. And now we bring our conveyor lift out, pop that into there, and connect these two belts up. So that goes into there, and we should be all set. And we should see some of these guys on the belts now. Yeah, there's a great big wave of them. And that should theoretically be all. So biochemical sculptors probably done, question mark. Okay, so with those being done, we're gonna need to connect that drone port up first. Then let's respawn and get those hooked into the space elevator. So we're gonna have to spend some time fiddling with the space elevator probably, because I think it's still set up to take the Phase 4 project parts via drone. So let's fly on over and see what we're going to need to do for that. Just all the way over here to the space elevator. We need to get 3 inputs in. And I don't know how many open spots we have. Okay, so this is being fueled from this side. And we have probably no open spots, right? So we head over here. We've got 2 open spots, and let's then disconnect one of these, which isn't needed anymore. And I guess just for convenience sake, it can be the nuclear pasta, so that we can just have this entire side available. Alright, so then we have to expand this area out a bit. And then we need to get in 3 drone ports. 1, 2, and I sure hope we can fit this last one. 3. Alright, so we have our 3 drone ports in. Now this, I just realized I never renamed that other one. That's fine, it's probably... Yeah, so we're gonna have to... This is space elevator, and this is biochemical sculptor input, and then these get powered up and connected into that random power pole. Then we can grab a splitter off of that to bring fuel over to these guys, and that is going to attach up like that, and then go across to here, and then into there, and into there. Okay, so then we just have to take these outputs, and you go into there, and then you go over here, and into there, and then you go over here, and into there. Okay. So, this is... What are these things called? AI... What are they even called? AI expansion servers. So this will be space elevator AIES input. And this will be space elevator ballistic warp drive input. Alright, so those are all connected up. That's all the work we're going to need to do here at the space elevator. And they're even getting all fueled up so that we won't need to worry about that for the other ones. So now we need to respawn again, go back to that area over there and rename that other thing and get it all set up. So we need to head over here, give that drone port a name, and get it all ready to launch supplies over. Wait, which way was this? This was like down here, wasn't it? Yeah, I think we launched in like exactly the wrong direction. But it's fine. Through the power of hypertube cannons, we can correct and make our way over here. Alright, so we're over here now. And we just need to come into a nice calm landing. And then swap back to hover pack mode. So this is biochemical sculptor source. Okay, so then let's see, do we just have this place deliver to space elevator BCS input? It's not normally how I do things. Normally I have the source just be passive and then it can get grabbed from everywhere else. But in this case, I don't think it matters because obviously this is only going to one place ever. So that's fine. Okay. Biochemical sculptors, check. And we're going to start seeing those go through. Now we are making 20 a minute. And we need 1,000. So 1,000 divided by 20. So that's going to take us like an hour. That's fine. Okay, biochemical sculptors done, unless something is horribly broken. Oh, and we do need to get a sink onto this, so that we can have that. So you go in like that, and then over to there. And then this whole thing needs to get a little bit of extra space for the sink. So the sink goes in right there, gets powered up, and it will be center overflow left any. And that should be that. Okay. Biochemical sculptors, check. Next up, AI expansion servers. Those are our next goal. And these guys, we have a bit more work to do because we need to make the magnetic field generators. So, what do we need for these? We need the neural quantum processors and the superposition oscillators. Then we need to make 40 magnetic field generators per minute when currently we only produce 10. And then we just have to get all those guys in, and that'll be our AI expansion servers. And then we're also going to need time crystals in so that we can turn this dark matter residue into dark matter crystals, because we're going to need those for the ballistic warp drives, I think. And yeah, look at that. Our biochemical sculptor supply already starting to tick up. We love to see it. Okay, so I think where are we? We're over here. So the magnetic field generator is over the swamp. So let's head over there. Just do a quick respawn. There's going to be a lot of respawning this stream, because we have a lot of small tasks to do. So first we need to figure out how many magnetic field generators we're producing, if that's all functional currently, or if we're going to need to do some upgrades for it. we're certainly going to have to do some upgrades. The question is whether we'll be upgrading in place or whether it'll be easier to just build a new factory for them. I think I remember the magnetic field generators being relatively simple. Alright, where was this? It was like over to this side? Yeah, it was this setup here. Relatively simple indeed. Okay. So we did have an input, and we were right by all the nuclear stuff, which isn't great. Okay, so these are magnetic field generators, and we've got 10 a minute here, and it does seem to be working flawlessly, though. So we've got that going for us. No problems there. How is our outgoing transfer rate? 805 items per minute on the plutonium. Not bad at all. We still have plenty of space, right? Yeah, tons. Tons and tons of space in plutonium storage. Just something to check when we stop by. Okay, so what are the inputs to this? We have our versatile frameworks as inputs, and then we have the EM control rods as well. So this just goes back down to here, and it's gonna be probably not that bad in terms of raw resources. So we need iron, deuterium, and copper, it looks like, right? Iron, copper, deuterium, and obviously water. So those get cooked up into some copper sheets, and then those get cooked up into some steel pipes. And then we make some quick wire, and then we make some stators, and then we make some EM control rods, and then done. Okay, so step one is going to be figuring out the versatile framework demand. So with 10 of these, we need 6.25 times 4. So we need 25 versatile frameworks to make 10 magnetic field generators. Now let's go, if we need 40 of them, so we're going to have to multiply this by a bit. So we're going to need 100. We're going to need 100 magnet. We're going to need 100 versatile frameworks and 40 EM control rods. Yeah, that checks out. So how many of these do we have? We have 50 total versatile frameworks, so that is not going to be enough. So we're going to need to build those. And those are just steel beams and modular frames. And the EM control rods are just, as we saw earlier, iron, copper, deuterium. Okay, so I can't imagine the resource demand being that bad. Let's hop down here. So the raw resources here are a sort of trivial amount of deuterium ore. So multiplying that by a bunch is going to be easy. Iron ore, also trivial. Copper ore also seems trivial. So yeah, one impure node of all of these would be enough. No problem. So then the other question, I remember the versatile frameworks being a bit more rough on the resources. Yes, so that's a lot of steel beams. So if we need to make 100 of these, we're going to need 600 steel beams, which is going to be... Do we really not have... Okay, so 600 steel beams is either 600 aluminum ingots, which I'm certainly not doing, or like a bajillion steel ingots. So we're gonna have to find somewhere with a lot of iron and coal, and then just like a trace amount of other things. And then the modular framework side of this is, well, what? It's gonna be 50 modular frames, which is not a huge amount. Alright, so yeah, let's just find a spot to do this just from scratch. There's no real need to use this existing stuff. So we need a place with iron and coal first and foremost, and also Caterium copper, and I think that's it, right? So iron, coal, Caterium, copper. We've used a lot of the coal around the map for our bauxite related stuff. We've got plenty of coal and iron up here in the Dune Desert. I don't actually see any spare copper, although some of these nodes might not be fully used. And we've got Caterium ore over here. Okay, what about this area up here, right? We've got Caterium. We've got a couple nodes of coal, which should be enough. We've got a node of copper, and we've got a couple nodes of iron. Yeah, I think that area is probably the best place for this. So we are going to respawn again. I almost clicked return to desktop. That would have been somewhat catastrophic. But I managed to not click the wrong button, so we're all good. So now we just need to fly up northeast and not get turned around facing the wrong way. So we just fly up this way and figure out our factory from there. We're sort of winging it here, so we're gonna do a backwards build for this so that we don't have to worry about doing the math. All right, so we're in the right general area here, right? Let's just stop up here to make sure. Yeah, just about a little bit further north up along this train track. So hopefully we should be able to build all of this from just local resources. If not, we do have the ability to bring trains in if we need to. And we do have belts and power poles and stuff down at ground level. So let's drop down and... Okay, we don't need to drop down too far, right? Because we are building a reverse order build, so we can start up a little bit in the sky and then work downwards from there. So we're here now. We've got... Do we have power connection in this exact spot? No, but we do have it over here. Nice big power pole. So let's go over this way and start slapping down some foundations. So we get all this stuff in, and we're going to bring a power pole up to here for us. Okay, now this all gets built. Okay, so the magnetic field generators themselves are the first machine we're going to put in. And those are just assemblers. So let's go 3 assembler double floor. I don't know how many of these we're going to need. We'll have to figure that out in a minute. So this can go in facing whichever way we want, since it's the first part of this whole factory. Nothing really matters, so you can go in like that. So now we bring this power pole all the way up to connect up to that power pole, and now we have power. Okay, magnetic field generators. So we need a total of... What did I say we needed? Like 40 of these things? So for AI expansion servers, yes, we need a total of 40 of them. And these machines are 1 per minute. So we could either do 40 machines of this, or what? 16 machines? 40 divided by 2.5, 16 machines of 2.5. And that's certainly much better, although it does pose a slight problem that these are in batches of 3. Yeah, the fact that these are in batches of 3 is kind of inconvenient. So let's make an assembler blueprint. And actually we might have them, right? Let's find some random... Oh wait, we're going to have to place it in this because it's not going to be... Okay, so we have you. And let's just pop you in and then add the extra assembler on. So you're going to go in there, right by the edge. And then we're going to take some additional space, pop an additional assembler. Okay, now we just need to change the splitting of these guys. So we get this in up there. And then you connect 4s like that. And this is going to be magnetic field generator, of course. And we will put the power shards in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so then that is not going to be a problem for belt speed, right? Right, no belt speed problems at all here. So we've got that, and then we have to drop down to this floor. Oh, we need to actually build the floor lift. So that goes into there. This power line connects up to you while we're at it. And then this belt comes down. Now we just put in our second splitter, just like that, and one more row of splitters into there. Okay, so now we've got this. And we can just save this as 4 assemblers double floor. So basically like the previous one, but with 4 assemblers instead of 3. So now we take that out, and we take that out. Oh boy, the lag. Okay. Then we just pop you down and get you to align just like that. Okay, now we need to get you connected so that we have any power at all in this whole region. Where's that dang power pole? There it is. Alright, so now we can hover. And we've got those 4. And blueprint auto connect build mode. Oh, I didn't set this up right. Oh well, it's fine. It's still gonna be pretty easy to do. So we're gonna need to connect things in still. So that all goes around like there. Sorry, I always feel like the amount of space that the hover pack gives is like not consistent. Like sometimes it feels much higher than other times. So we've got 12 machines in. We just need one more batch like so. So that's all 16, and they all get powered. And now we just need to connect the mergers up properly. So each of these long gaps here needs an additional merger, which needs to line up properly. And we get one more. Okay, so we've got all of that in. Ah, these are facing the wrong way. Wonderful. So let's get that fixed. This belt goes along this way. And then they all can then merge up. And that will be that. Okay, so now we just connect all the belts across, and this only needs to be Mark 1. It's going to be weird and inconsistent speeds, because some of these belts in the blueprint are Mark 2, and the other ones that I'm building just now are Mark 1. So that's awkward, but not a problem. Okay, so we have this, our final row of making the magnetic field generators, and then let's just get this set up so that the output will work immediately. So we need a smart splitter, we need a sync, and we need a drone port. Drone ports are quite big, so we're going to need more space for that. Let's build that over here. And then that just connects across like that. And then this will be magnetic field generator source. And no, we don't place random power poles. We connect you up to a power pole. We connect you up to a power pole. Okay, so once we get all the resources into these, that will be all that we need. And then we'll be able to go over and grab from the other side of things to feed that up into the AI expansion servers. So now we just need to get another batch of 1 to 4s. So this, how many is this? 2.5 times 16 times 16 is 40 of those, and 6.25 times 16 is 100 of those. Okay, so it's 40 of the EM control rods and 100 of the flexible frameworks. So the flexible frameworks are going to need their final input belt to be a Mark II, but everything beyond that can be Mark I without breaking anything. So let's get all this stuff set up. We're just going to build all this stuff. It's always weird building things backwards like this, but it saves on the need to plan ahead of time. So I don't have to do math more than like one step ahead. It all just works out. Okay, so then we get that, and the splitters go across. Okay, so those are our 2 inputs. So first step is picking one of these and building it. Now, we need to be careful not to build things which go into both. So versatile frameworks are modular frames which are reinforced iron plates and either screws, steel pipes, or rods. Steel beams are just steel plates. So if we go here, we're going to get back to iron ingots and steel ingots and stuff very quickly, which we don't want because we want to have all the stuff we're going to need for this in first. So let's check this row. EM control rods, we have AI limiters and stators. So let's just do those in next. So we needed, what, 40 EM control rods, which is 60 stators, 40 AI limiters. Okay, so let's get that row in next. And I don't actually want this to be organized. I think we're going to have the EM control rods on this same row, on the same floor. We don't have quite as much downward space as we normally do. We still probably have plenty, though. So this is another row of assemblers. And it's just going to go in like that somehow. And then we're going to need 40 of these. So we swap over to EM control rods using the AI limiters. And so this is going to be all we need just in one batch of 4. Right? So we're going to have 40 output of these, and that should be that. So then we will copy paste our settings. We will connect the power lines across. And we will just put this belt in. So this belt connects up and just pops over to there. Alright, that is nice and easy. Pretty straightforward step there. So now, okay, let's keep track of the things we haven't done yet. So we have 100 versatile frameworks. We don't need to note the aluminum shortage. So these are the things which we haven't built the production lines for yet. So we need 100 versatile frameworks. We need 60 stators and 40 AI limiters. 40 AI limiters. Okay, so next up are stators. How do we make those? Steel pipes and copper or quick wire, either one. Do these have anything? So we're going to do quick wire because those are used for plastic AI limiters. So let's do the stators next. So we need 60 of these using the quick wire recipe. And that is going to be, let's see, so it's max 8, so 2.5 would be like 20, so it'd be like 3 machines. Alright, yeah, this is much like the previous one, working out to not be very complicated at all. So let's get the 3 assembler blueprint, I guess, if that's all that we're going to need. So we have our 3 assembler blueprint. You are going to make stators using the quickwire stator alt. And that will be that. Copy, paste, paste, and then bring the settings forwards. Okay, then we just get that belt connecting into there. So stators are now checked. So now we need 120 steel pipes. 120 steel pipes. We need 450 quick wire, and stators are accounted for. Alright, next up, let's change tack and do the AI limiters. Oh, this actually isn't aligned well at all. So let's actually dismantle that and just rebuild it real quick to be lined up nicely. So can you please go in? Build mode default. And I'm just going to nudge you. Oh, but we want you to be rotated. And then we nudge you into place like that. Alright. So then we're going to have to do this again. So that connects across. And these we should just be able to repaste, right? Yes. So that paste goes back in. Power connection goes back in. And that's that. Alright, so next up is the AI limiters, which are going to be going into here as well. And we are going to be doing the base recipe. We need 40 of them. So these are going to be 12.5 max. So that will be just 4 at 10 each. So 4 assemblers double floor. And we are going to just build mode default these guys in somewhere. So they will go just somewhere like this. And the nice thing about building backwards is it does kind of make it a lot easier to build more compact when you need to. So these are AI limiters with the basic recipe, and they are going to be 10 each. Copy, paste, paste, paste. Okay, then that connects up. The belts all connect. And you need to go down a level and then over a little bit to get into where you need to go. So you can do that. And you just go all the way over into there. Okay, so that is our 40 AI limiters done. And that means that now we need to account for these as being 200 copper sheets. 200 copper sheets and what, 800 quick wire? Okay. So that is down to copper sheets and quick wire. And let's get that power line connected. So that is that stage mostly done. And we can mark the AI limiters as done. And then let's keep the 2 quick wire chunks separate, just so that I can see that we have both of them for now. But it's going to be a total of 1250 quick wire, which is a lot of quick wire, to be fair. Okay, so next up is the versatile frameworks. So 100 versatile frameworks is going to be, I guess, 10 of these, or maybe like 8 of the 12.5s. And it's going to be 50 modular frames, 600 steel beams. So let's get those in. It's been a while since I've built something quite this flat. So, sort of strange to just be putting so much stuff on one singular level. But it's because we have relatively small demands for all of them. Print. And we want you to be sort of out of the way of all this stuff. So let's push you out over this way. Just so that your inputs don't conflict super much with the other guys. So you go in like that. And then we need another one of these, actually. So you go in like that, and we need to fix up these output belts. Alright, so then this is actually going to be 100, so we're going to want Mark II belts on all of this stuff. And then these will be connecting down and into that somewhere. So let's get a floor hole, which connects into the merger. And now we just bring this belt over. All the way over this way. And into there. Okay, so versatile frameworks are now built. Now we have to set these. So you are set to versatile frameworks, and you are 12.5. You're 12.5 each. Times 8, right? Let's just confirm that is 100, so that's definitely enough. So now we copy, paste the settings across. Alright, settings pasted. Next step is power lines. So we grab you over to here and connect those two up. Okay, then the next step is to update our running tally. So we have 12.5 of those. So we have 6.25. So we need 50 modular frames and 600 steel beams. And then we can clear the versatile frameworks off our list. Okay, so the next thing is modular frame, because those are the only ones which are like relatively complicated, right? So modular frames, we are going to have these. We need 50 of them. Are bolted frames that much easier? So it would be 10 base recipe modular frames, or what? This could go up to 7.5 each. So let's see, how much would this be? So if we did 5 of these, we would need 33 reinforced plates and 166 steel pipes. If we did you, we would need 75 reinforced iron plates and 300 iron rods. And if we did you, we would need 75 reinforced iron plates and 1,400 screws. Let's do steel frame. It's most efficient on the reinforced iron plate side, at least, so I don't know about that, but then that goes up to 7.5, so 50 divided by 7.5 is some weird number, so we can do it in 8. So let's get our 4 assemblers blueprint, and you need to be facing this way. And then is this going to be enough space? Probably not. Let's give it an extra foundation to play with, just like that. Which means we're going to need to expand this out a little bit. Okay, so that is 4. Let's get the other 4 in. Okay, we managed to get it placed before we fell. And then we can get back over into power range and get these guys connected up. Okay, so these are just modular frames and steeled frames. So this is going to be 50 divided by 8 is 6.25. It's one of those numbers that's been coming up a lot in this particular build. So we copy paste that all the way across, and we need you to get attached in like that. And then we need those foundations in, and then this just connects across like so. So you go across like that, and you connect directly into there. Alright, so that is modular frames in, and the cost is 33.3 reinforced iron plates from what I remember. RIP. And how many steel pipes was it? 20.833 times 8 is 166.664 steel pipes. So let's get those marked down, and then the modular frames removed. Okay, so steel pipes are pure from ingots. Quickwire is pure from ingots with caterium and copper. So the only thing which has intermediate steps left are the reinforced iron plates. So these, do we just go... How many of these do we need? 33 point something? So we can just go with like stitched iron plates for the copper tie-in. That's like 10 plates to 3. But this is like 6 to 1, which is a lot worse. We're definitely not doing adhere to iron plates. Bolted iron plates is unnecessary since we have power shards to get the speed up to what we need it to be. Although I guess this would be one building. Right? So we could set this to that. It's a lot of screws for one building, though, and a lot of iron plates. 200 and 555. Whereas this would be 200 and 400 across a couple buildings, like 6 to 8. And then this one would be, if we set you like that, it would be 111 iron plates, 222 wire, which with fused wire is practically free because we're doing caterium anyways. So let's do stitched iron plates. That should be fine. So 100% of this is 5.6. So divided by 5.6. So we should be able to get this in 6 buildings. So we can use our 3 assemblers blueprint. Place you in. Just scoot you back a bit. Give you a foundation of space. So then these go in. Like that, and like that. Okay, so then we just need to get them connected up. So this gets a splitter, and that splitter's facing the wrong way. So you get a splitter, one goes that way, one goes that way, and then that gets the input belt. So these are going to be stitched iron plates. Where is that? There we go. We had to search for it, but we found it. So then this is actually, can we just grab some power shards? And we already placed these machines, so there's no point doing it here actually. 33.3 divided by 6 is 5.56. We could starting to get into some wackier numbers now, which is a bit concerning. More annoying than anything else, obviously. Alright, so the reinforced iron plates are in, and now we need to figure out what this will cost us. So it is 18.533 times 6. Times 6 is... Alright, we determined that. It was 111.111 iron plates. 111.111 iron plates. And 37.067 wire times 6 is 222.4. Is that actually 222.4, or is that some weird... Or is that like a proper ratio? It should be a proper ratio, right? Yes, 222.2 repeating. 222.2 repeating wire. And that is that. So then we can remove reinforced iron plates from the list of things which need to be done. And just need to get those belts connected across. Alright, so now the only thing which we need to do next up is, I guess, make the quick wire and wire. So those are going to both take some combination of copper and caterium. And gosh, this is actually insanely effective, like how well we've done in building all this stuff on one floor. Super compact and nice. Alright, so the quick wire and wire. I don't know where all of this is going. Is it going into... So that's getting some of it. That right next to it is getting the rest. So these two together are the quick wire, and the wire is back there. So let's put the quick wire in this area, and we're obviously going to be doing fused. So let's figure out how many of these we're going to want. So we need 1,200, wait, is that right? 800 quick wire plus 450. Yeah, we're going to need 1,250 quick wire, which is going to be 104 caterium ingots and 520 copper ingots. And it's going to be a good solid number of machines. So at max speed, this is 225. So 1250. Oh, wrong button. 1250 divided by 225 is less than 6. And we're gonna have to figure out the balancing actually. So that's gonna be a bit of a nuisance, probably. Let's see. So we can theoretically make it in 6, which would be these machines. I am not at all confident in my ability to actually do the splitting for that, though. Okay, so we have those in. Then you are going to be set to fused quick wire and max overclock. And then we're going to have to figure out this whole splitting thing. So we paste all of these settings all the way across. And let's get the machines powered, and then there's a reasonably high chance that we're going to have to tear this out and do something different in a second. So, these guys here need 200 each for a total of 800. So 800 divided by 225 is some weird number. Okay, but we can get the 450, right? Because that's just 2 of these. Okay, so this actually works out pretty well. So we just take that, pop it into there, and then these need to be upgraded to Mark 3 outputs along the entire row. And then this row here is going to be 800. So it needs to just be Mark 6s. And then that goes across to there. So these four machines are going to be 800, which means they need to be 200 each, which is going to mess with the balancing of all this. So we're going to have to rebuild that, but that's fine. I suspected that we were going to have to be doing something like that anyways. So that goes into there. And actually, just to make sure, 1250 divided by 6 is some weird number which isn't helpful for us. 1250 divided by 8, also some weird number which isn't helpful for us. So yeah, this is the best way of doing it, unfortunately. But it is going to mean more splitting. And now I wonder if the splitting here is easy, right? So this is 450. Yeah, this is actually 450, which is an easy number to get. So we should be able to preserve equality across all of these by just controlling for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that out. We're going to get a smart splitter there with center any left overflow. Then this... Wait, no, that's actually wrong. Because the fact that this is 1250 means that we can't fit it all onto a single belt like that. So we do need to grab it out from here. Okay, so yeah, this is what we do. We grab it out from here in the middle of the row, where past these 3 machines it's going to be more than 450. So we get a smart splitter there. And that will take our output. And then we're going to limit 450 coming out of here. So we get a priority merger facing that way, I think. So we get that in. We feed it with a Mark IV belt. Then you need to split and split again. And this needs to be left any center overflow. So we send 60 out that way. We send half of that back to be 30. The other half forwards with this. And then that all connects up. That is set. This should be our 450 out of that, which because this smart splitter then becomes right any center overflow. So this smart splitter will send 450 out that way, and the rest of it down this way to go into here. So now we just need these to be 1250 divided by 6. 1250 divided by 6 is slightly less, but still more than enough. And so it's possible that this isn't going to be enough of a buffer if these come in massive bursts, but they go every 8 seconds, so it should probably be fine. It should be fine, hopefully. So then the rest go over to there and into the wire. So yeah, that should be that all set up. So that is the quick wire done. And now we just need to add in, did we paste this properly? We did, cool. So now we just need to add in the deuterium and copper. So it's 1250 of that divided by 12. So just sanity checking, it should be like 100 and a small amount. So 17.361. 0.361 times 6 is 104.166 deuterium. $104.166 Caterium ingots, and 86.804 times 6 for the copper. Times 6 is 520.824. 520.824 copper ingots. And that accounts for our quickwire demands. So we can clear those out of the list. Okay, so that brings us down to Caterium and copper ingots. And then we just need to look at the wire. So these guys are the ones which need wire, right? And you need 222.2 repeating. Okay, so let's continue expanding this floor along. So we get some foundations in this area. Out to like that. And then wire. Fused wire is going to be 90 each again. So this should be just one machine, right? 225. Yeah, so it's just barely less than a single machine. So then we get copper and Caterium ingots going into that one. And I guess just for the sake of using blueprints, we'll make it be 3 machines and not have to overclock it. So this goes in like so, just goes across, should be fine. You don't exactly need super fancy splitting for the wire here. So this is, we go down here, fused wire. You are 222.2 repeating, divide by 3 is 74.07. Sweet. Paste that across. Then you get the belts in. And that goes forwards and into there and into there. And these are going to need to be Mark 2s, and then that will be a Mark 3. And then each of these outputs has to be a Mark 2, which it is. Very cool. Connect the power across. Alright, so that is wire done. And we just need to clear that out and put it in. So we have some weird amount of copper and Caterium. It's going to be 9.876 times 3 is 29.628 copper ingots. 29.628 copper ingots. And 2.469 times 3. 2.469 times 3 is 7.407 Caterium ingots. 7.407 Caterium ingots. Whenever you do fused wire, it feels like a robbery. Like it should not be this efficient, but it is this efficient, so that's pretty neat. We have 4 and 1 to make 30, whereas the quickwire stuff is 1 and 5 to make 12, which is close to as good. Okay, so that is in and accounted for. We can clear the wire out of our list. Okay, so now copper and Caterium are down to ingots, and that splitting is going to be a nightmare, unfortunately. There's just not going to be a good way of doing that, aside from, I guess, we can just push it down to make the ores deal with it, and then just oversupply ore. Yeah, that should be... That's probably going to be the easiest way of doing that, honestly. So, now we go back up. The next thing is the copper sheets, I guess. Just finish off the copper and caterium side of things before we move on to the iron and steel side of things. So where were those? Those were up at the AI limiters, which was that this row here? It was one of the early ones, right? Was it you? Yes. So you need to get 200 copper sheets. And those are going to be refineries. We've got water beneath us, right? That's a decent sized river. We should be able to fit some water extractors on that, hopefully. If not, I guess I'll just be sad about it. So we expand the foundations out to there. And then let's get refineries, which is 2-to-1 refineries, right? So is it this one? Is this the right one? It looks like we have two. We have both types of inputs and one type of output, so that is correct. And these are going to just sit down here on the ground floor. Don't know how many of these we're going to need. So let's just pop you down. And you are going to be... What was this? Copper sheets, copper sheets, copper sheets. There we go. So we go that. And that can go 56.25 per machine. We need 200, so 4 of these at 50 each will do the trick. So let's copy, paste, paste, paste. Alright, so that is set up. Now we bring the power lines forwards. So this gives us our 200 copper sheets, 50 each, and these outputs are more than fast enough. So we can take this forwards to here, right? It's these ones. Yes, it's you guys who need the copper sheets. So then that just goes in, and I think that's Mark II belts to each of you, because it's 200, which split in half is 100 each. So then that connects up, and that should be copper sheets accounted for. So that is going to be 200 copper ingots, 200 copper ingots, 200 water, and we can clear the 200 copper sheets out of our list. Alright, so that is everything of copper and caterium down to the ingots. And our next step is going to be the steel, I guess. So we need steel pipes, steel beams, and more steel pipes. So where are all these going to? First of all, the steel pipes are going to be our next step, I think. So those are steel beams. Your copper quick wire. So here's some of the steel pipes, and then maybe up here, no. Where's the 120 steel pipes? They were like super early in our list, right? They were super early in our list. Stator, oh, they were probably the stator inputs, right? Yes, so we have stators getting steel pipes, 120 of them. And then we have over here modular frames getting steel pipes. So we need 286.66 repeating steel pipes. And let's build those over this way, I think. Make this a little bit wider. so that we can have the inputs remain relatively close in at least some sense to the things they're going into. So we build out some space over there, and then we have to figure out how we're actually making steel pipes. So we could just do iron pipes, but we're here in this spot because it has access to coal. So I guess we'll just do regular steel pipe in constructors. And that should be incredibly straightforward. So let's get constructor. Let's get constructors in. And 5 of these should be enough. So you go in something like this. Maybe push you back a little bit more. I'm not sure about the spacing, but something like that. So that we need 286.66 repeating steel pipes. So this will be... Actually, how much is that? 286.66 divided by 5 is 57.3. And these can go up to 50. Rats. We're going to need just 1 or 2 more. Divide by 6. Yes, we just need 6 constructors instead of 5. So let's build that out. Take out this 1 to 5 thing and just make it a 1 to 6. I have to do it mostly manually, but that's fine. It's not terribly difficult. Alright, let's get dismantle filter to just get all those tiny little chunks out. Okay, so now we've got 6 of these guys, and we just need to go smart splitter there, or not smart splitter, just regular splitter there, regular splitter there. And did I set you 286.666 divided by 6 is 47 point something. So now we just paste that all the way across. And 47 point something means that this first row, oh, if my hotbar would work, that would be appreciated. There we go. So this first row is mark 1s. Everything past that is going to be mark 3s at least. So those all go in. Then we get this one, which is feeding mark 3s. And then we'll worry about what goes past that at a later point. So now we have our steel pipe outputs here. And we need to get 20.8 into there. And was it this one which required them? No, it was this one up here. No, wait. This one all the way up here? Gosh dang it, where did they go? Oh, it's the stators all the way over here, which look like they're part of that row, but are not. Okay, so these stators here are... Why are you... That connection is wrong, I think, right? This was some copper ingot thing for these, and I just got confused, and I thought that this row over here was a part of it, but it isn't. This is an entirely separate thing doing steel pipes and quick wire. Right, so they're connected up here because they both get quick wire. They're not connected down below. Yeah, so this belt, we're going to have you... I think we can have you sneak around in such a way that you don't have to do anything silly like connect, like hop over other belts. So this goes all the way up there and then down that way. And then these are the rest of them. So it's relatively simple. From here we just get a smart splitter on that. And you are going to take out a Mark II belt down that way for exactly 120, and then a Mark III belt down that way for all the spares. So this is left any center overflow, so that'll send 120 that way, 166 this way, and that will be that. Alright, so steel pipes, check. We have those in, and we have 71.67. 0.67 times 6 is 430 steel ingots. 430 steel ingots, and we can clear out the steel pipes and the other steel pipes. Okay. So the next step are the steel beams. Oh, and this needs to be powered up, obviously. So the next step are the steel beams, and those are going all the way in to, I think that row is the versatile framework, so maybe this one. Yes, the steel beams, all 600 of them go into here. And is there any good way of making these? No, it's just the painful 4-to-1 recipe from these. So that is 4-to-1, and we need 600, meaning this needs to be 2400. That's 2 full belts of steel input. Is molded much better? Molded is a little bit better, but like, it's still a belt and a half, or a belt and a third, somewhere along those lines, and also adds in a huge amount of concrete, so that's not worth it. We're just gonna have to do this the painful way, unfortunately. So that is these ones. Oh, we need to make sure actually that these input belts are fast enough, because these are 75 each. Okay, they are set to Mark IIs, but these are not set to Mark IIIs properly. So that is set up. Then this needs to be Mark IIIs. There and there. Okay, so that should be enough. Except this row isn't. So it's this fourth one here, which we added on, needs to be upgraded to compensate. There we go. So that should be all the belt upgrades for you, probably. And then we just need to get the last connection row in here. So this is going to be 300 each way. So Mark IV belts. And now this needs to be fed an enormous amount of steel beams. Also, this last thing over here needs to get connected, obviously. Not like that. Okay, so that's all connected up. Now the steel beams are... Those are just in constructors, right? Oh, I already had them searched. I didn't need to do this. Steel beams are just in constructors, and it's 15 a minute each. So at 250%, that's going to be 37.5. So 600 divided by 37.5 is just 16. Okay, that's fine. We probably have something back here that's just 4 that we can do. We've gotta, right? Steel beams, this is 2. It has the right recipe in. No, it's not that. Screws, maybe? What is this? This is 5 for some reason. I don't know what I was cooking with the 5s everywhere. Alright, we'll just take this 2 constructor blueprint and just pop it down 8 times. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap so that we try to avoid some confusion about how things are connected up. And then you get to be in connecting up mode like that. 2, 4, 6. And we're going to need a bit more space. And we're going to need to power these. So that comes across to here. And for some reason the power lines are up this way. On the outside row. Not what I normally do, but whatever. Okay, so we just need to keep on placing these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Please just let me place that. That's 16. All right. So we got there. Now we just need to get all these powered up and connect them to what we need them to be. We also are going to need to paste the settings in. Okay, so that goes across. We've got 16 of these in some janky, weird setup, but whatever. So you are, just make sure we got this right, 600 divided by 16 is 37.5. So we now paste those settings across all of these constructors. Just like that. And there we go. Okay, so those are now all powered up, and now we need to connect up with whatever I was doing here. Some of the oldest blueprints in the entire game they're completely nonsensical as a result of being so old. But that's fine. We can just do all this manual. Don't connect up like that. We at least got the 2-to-1s in, so we can save like half the effort. Which is not as good as saving all the effort, but is better than saving none of it. Alright, so these are 37.5, which means that these belts need to be marked 2. And then the mainline belts are going to need to be mark 5s. Alright, so those all connect across. Now these go together. And just keep going. Okay, so now we just bring this belt all the way up to here and into there. So that is that. And then for the inputs of this, it is 150 each. So that those two are 300. Those 4 are 600. Wait, no. So that's 300, 600. Yeah, so it's 2 belts of 1200 going in, basically. So we're going to need to get all the splitters in for that. And it's going to be a bit weird. We're also going to have to upgrade all these dang belts. So these are 150, which means they need to be Mark 3 right from the get-go. These are some fast constructors, and I hope that this area has enough iron and copper to do all this. It should, but you never know. So then these are 300 each, so these need to be Mark 4s. And we just run down this way. Okay, so then you connect to there and to there. There and there. And then we get the same thing over here on these ones. So we get a couple splitters connecting up to them. And they just go like that. Okay, now we have 300 and 300, so then these get splitters in, which are going to be 600 each. So that's Mark 5 belts. And then their inputs, when we get to them, are going to be 1,200 each. But for now, let's just write this down. So steel beams, done. 2,400 steel ingots in. Okay. So let's bring the steel back to iron ingots and then swap over to the iron plates. Actually, the iron plates, where are those demands? I don't want those to get trapped behind a bunch of other machines. Is that just here? Yes. So that's these guys. So let's turn those iron plates into iron ingots. And we're not gonna... Are we gonna be doing any fancy thing? We could do steel cast plates. Don't really see the need to. Since it's only 111. You can just do regulars. And it should be fine. So, iron plates, just get a couple of constructors. And I should have checked this. So this is 20 each. It can go up to 50 each, so that's going to be 3 constructors to feed all of them. Let's just... I guess we'll... No, let's just build that manually. It's going to be easier than dealing with whatever the heck is going on with those blueprints. So we get 3 constructors. They each get an input. And then they merge up to give an output. So then this output is going to be like 111, so it's going to need to be Mark 2s up to here. And they need to split into these 2 belts. So we go in like that and get 50 some each. And then that Mark II belt combines up to there. And we just get a power pole in. I could daisy chain these, but I just sort of am not in the habit of doing so. Plus, I think just having the power poles available to connect other things up to just makes it more convenient. Alright, so these are going to get power shards and be 111.111 divided by 3. There we go. Let's grab more power shards. And we are going to copy and paste those settings across. So now this whole thing is set up. So that's iron plates done, and we have 55.5 repeating times 3. Times 3 is 166.6 repeating iron ingots. Iron ingots. And we can clear those iron plate demands out now. Okay. So now we are only looking at ingots. So the steel ingots are going to be the most complicated because those need to come from iron ingots as well, and they're also by far the most numerous. So we need 2,830 steel ingots, which is a couple. So we do have a blueprint for solid steel ingots. How many of these is it? It's 3. Oh, but it's speed limited. Is that fine? Yeah, that's probably fine. We should be able to work with that. I guess we'll see what the ratios are first. So you are 40 each right now. And now you're 100 each. So we can get this row of 3 up to 300 inputs to 150 50 outputs. Is this going to work? So the 300 isn't going to work. So this is going to have to be... We're going to have to figure out how to get this to be 90. So if we get this to be 90, then it lines up properly, right? Because this is a Mark III belt input, but I think speed limiting this is just a lot of extra work. So let's take that out, and let's just make... Do I actually have just regular old Foundry? No, I don't. So let's just make a Foundry blueprint. You know, this late in the game, you might as well make a blueprint for a machine that you hardly ever use anymore. Alright, so Blueprint Designer Mark III goes out there. And we need... So this has 2 inputs, so we're going to have the whole thing with a second level. So this, then we can just expand out to take as much space as possible. Just fill out the whole row. And then we can start popping foundries in. And let's get a power pole over here so that we can fly better. There we go, that should do us. Okay, foundries go in. And we are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can't quite fit a 5th in, at least not like this. That's fine. So we are going to remove that row of foundations so that we just have these 4, and we're going to remove those walls that can just float. And you are going to get the solid steel ingot recipe. And you are going to be max overclocked, probably. Probably just going to do that. Might save some work getting the power shards in later. Okay, so now we get our splitters. Oh wait, no. First we need to get the floor holes for the lower level in. So that goes in. And I think we need... Okay, we need Mark II. We need Mark II inputs on everything because these are going to be 100. So those go down to there, and then we get our splitters. So the splitters just go across like this. And this one just goes across like that. And then these are going to be 100 plus 100 is 200, so that's Mark III. And now we can drop down to the lower level and do the same thing. So this all goes in. Conveyor lifts get brought down. And splitters can get placed. So you and you. Now we can just connect all the belts up. Shouldn't take much time. There we go. And now we can put the splitter in. I'll have this one be over here just in case we need to run some lifts through. And those are Mark IIIs going in. Alright, then we get a power pole. We get a power pole in, which connects to all of the machines. And then finally we get our output, which is going to be, this is 600, so that's pretty good. So we get a couple mergers in there. And these need to be Mark III belts on the way out. So we do that, and then we just need this, which is potentially very easily going to be Mark VI. So let's just have it be like that to begin with. And then just have these little hooks on either end for the auto connecting to go in. So that should be everything on that. We're going to fly over here, save this as 4 foundry double floor, save the blueprint, clear that. Alright, we have an autosave coming, which is good because the game has been crashing after placing newly saved blueprints. So hopefully that autosave will prevent that. Or at least make it so that we don't lose anything meaningful when we try. Okay, so this can go in, and probably just here should be fine. Okay, and it places successfully. So if we get you into Blueprint Auto Connect mode and place you in. Okay, so now let's get these guys powered up and connected down to a power line down there. Okay, so theoretically these should make a full Mark VI belt, which can then just go into one of these two guys. What are you doing? You're the steel pipes. Right, so we have the steel beams over there, the steel pipes over there. So we need a smaller chunk to go into those steel pipes as well. So let's get this in. We need to build even more space out this way. Like that. So we need 2 and a little bit less than a half belts of this. So I guess we're going to be reorganizing the way that these are auto-connected, but that's fine. That's not unexpected. So we have the one spare down there. Then we have these two makes one batch of 1200. And then we have this one, and then the next one, which we're going to need to get power line connection over so that we can hover. And those will form the last batch of 1200. Alright, so then that goes in like so. And then it gets power line connectioned. So can I just grab you, connect you across. Okay, so now we've got all this. We've got these two, and that is a connection point which we have to chop out. And you just go forwards a bit and into a floor hole. Like so. And then that will drop down into this splitter. So you go into there. Step 1. Then we get another chunk of 2 stopping here. And those are going to go forwards into the other giant row. Alright, so that goes down. And then this has to go over a bit. So you go over this way and then into our other giant row of steel production. So just like that. Alright, so those are the two main rows. And then we've got these guys over here. So these guys make 600. And they need to make 430. So you are 430 divided by 4, which is some weird number. And we paste that across. And we've managed to save a couple power shards, which is neat, I guess. Then we just send these down to the next level. And these are going in a Mark 6 belt, but they don't need to. They can go in a Mark 4 belt. So that goes down to there in a Mark 4 belt for 430 steel ingots. And that is that. So now we need to clear those out. So we need to figure out how much iron and coal this is. So this is 71.667. 667.667 times 4 is 286.668. Does that check out? Yeah, that checks out. 286.66, repeating, iron ingots, 286.66 coal for those guys. And that is this batch of 430 steel ingots down. And then we have this giant chunk over here, which is fortunately much better behaved in terms of its numbers. So this is... what? So how many of these are there? It's 4, 8... So yeah, it's 16 of those. So instead of 2,400, this is gonna be 1,600 each iron and coal. 1,600 iron, 1,600 coal. And that needs to be specified as iron ingots. Okay. So that is that. Now let's get all these belts attached up. Yes, I am here. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Sorry, we are working on some magnetic field generators so that we can make AI expansion servers, which are some of the last things we need to beat the game. So we're getting very close. So let's add some foundations along here so that we can get all of these guys connected up. And that goes all the way down that way. So we've got this chunk of 4 of them, which we actually need to have go into 2 belts of 800 because of belt speed limits. So these are... wait, actually these can be 400 each, right? Because each of these is going to be 400. And then it's the things going into them which is going to be more expensive. I'm playing on PC. I always forget that console is even an option for this game, honestly. I guess I don't really play on consoles much, but... okay, so those are connected up. So these are each belts of 800 going in, and that's a belt of 280 something going in. So now we just have to do the same thing down on these rows, which will save us a bit of time for when we're getting the next attachments in. So we get those across, and then we get these across. So we go like that, and like that. We're currently right near the end of Phase 5. So we're almost done with the entire game, which is pretty neat. I'm expecting to finish in the next couple streams, not this one, but maybe the one after or the one after that. We're very, very near to the end. Okay, so that's all connected up. So, now we have all this down to iron, copper, and caterium ingots, as well as coal, and technically there's a little bit of water being counted. So, let's see here. What's going to be easiest? The caterium is going to be a massive nuisance because of all the weird splitting. So I guess let's deal with that now rather than just sitting and letting it be annoying. So this is one of the caterium inputs. Where are the others? This is another one, I believe. Yes, we've got those two, and then is there a third? No, okay, I thought there was a third, but there's 3 coppers, but there's only 2 cateriums. Right, so it's this one. No, wait, I got turned around. It's this one and this one. So we need to make all of that. And it should be, what we're going to do is we're just going to have like one machine. We're going to have separate machines for each of the rows because they're super complicated and annoying. And that will give us our correct splitting properly without having to go through all the hassle of coming up with incredibly complicated splitting systems. So we get a refinery. This refinery is going to make pure caterium. And you are going to make 7.407. And your output is just going to go straight into there. Okay. So that is that, and then you are going to get powered up. So that's just one machine. And that is going to be 14.82 caterium ore. 14.82 water. Yeah, okay, now we've run into the character limit in the notes. Whoops. Alright, but that's fine. We can save some because that is going out. So we have this block in, then we need to get the actual main block of caterium placed, which is probably going to need an actual, wait, I don't want that. That's going to cause weird things to happen. Yeah. We need to get rid of this row of foundations so that we can put in the larger foundation squares to keep everything lined up nicely. So we just do something like that, and then let's get another row back there. Okay, so now we get our 4x refinery blueprint, and this is the same one we use for like everything. And we pop that down, and we fall out of the sky, because of course we do. We bring the power line back. Okay, so now you are actually already set to caterium, so we need 104.166, and these can go up to 30. So we're gonna need another, wait, is that true? No, we can do this in here. 104.166 divided by 4 is 26, which is manageable within this block. So we get those settings pasted across. And then we get our output belt, which is just going to run up this way. And I guess we can go around to the right, maybe. We are starting to run into the classic problems of too much stuff on the factory floor. It's all starting to get in itself's way, but we're almost there. So this gets its splitter. And then that will connect up. So those each don't need to be Mark IIs anymore because we're losing half of it. Alright, so that goes forwards. And that is Caterium into there. And did I get these settings pasted across for all of these? I did. So that is all good. And now we just need to get in 52.08 times 4 is 208.32 Caterium ore and water. 208.32 Caterium ore, and that's the limit again. Yeah, we really need to simplify these things down a little bit. Okay, so we can save some space by not referring to all these guys as ingots. So if we just say that we're going to specify ore and not specify ingots, then we can bring all these guys down to save some text. So now that is 208.32 water. Okay, and then we can just finish that, right? So we can just bring in the Caterium ore, which should be down there. And that's all. Why do I have... Oh, because I didn't remove that listing out yet. Okay, so that is gone. So now we just have our Caterium ore and our water. So if we just bring in like a Mark III belt of Caterium, it should be fine. Okay, so let's see. We need to get actually a decent amount into this. So we get a floor hole in there, and it goes forwards like this, and that can be a Mark III, so that's going to be 270. Now, if we take a smart splitter there, I'm just trying to get this so that it all lines up properly. If we go left any center overflow, run a Mark I belt over here, that'll be 60 over this way, which is obviously more than enough. And then the remaining 210, which is more than enough, will go into here, and we'll be all good to go. Speaking of which, we need to upgrade these belts to Mark IIs in order to fit. And that'll be that for the Caterium. So now let's just drop down and find that Caterium ore. So it's all the way over there. So we're going to get a Mark III lift and just bring you along this way, all the way back over to here. And this factory is kind of funny. It's a very simple factory, but because I decided to do it all in one floor, it's actually a lot larger than... It's like the scale of a factory, which is much larger and more complex than it is. But that's fine. We're not going to be running out of space anytime soon. It's just going to be a question of dragging some belts around. Can I find a power pole? Oh, I almost fell and died there. Can I find a power line to bring down to here? Thank you. We've got that. And, oh, no, stop it. Okay. Problem solved. Hit the wrong button. Mark III miner gets powered. And you are already, without power shards, doing more than enough. So let's just bring this all the way down and over to here and in. And that is Caterium done. So now we can remove those Caterium ore listings. And that should save us some space in our text block. So now we can... Actually, while we're down here, let's... No, we can't bring the water up until we know how much water we actually need for all the, like, the steel and everything, which is probably going to be quite a lot. Okay, so let's just fly back up here and figure out what we're doing next. Actually, let's see, it's 4:46. This is normally when I wrap up the stream, so it's as good a time as any. We're making serious progress on this. We finished the biochemical sculptors today, and we're like not long at all until this factory is done. So once this factory is done, then we will have, let's see, AI expansion servers, right? So we have the magnetic field generators. That's what we're working on now. We're gonna make those. We're going to load them up into some drones and carry them over to the neural quantum processors and superposition oscillators. Then make the AI expansion servers. So once all that is done, we will also be taking that dark matter residue and using it to make some dark matter crystals. Now, how much is this going to make? So this is going to be 1,000. And if we convert that using the time crystal recipe, that is what, 150 to 60, so it's like, so that's going to be 400 dark matter crystals right there, just from that. And then we're going to take those 400 dark matter crystals and we are going to make our ballistic warp drives with the rest of the superposition oscillators, singularity cells, and the thermal propulsion rockets, which I think are still broken. We might need to spend time fixing that. But that's basically it. So we just have to finish this up, get it running, make sure that we didn't cause any serious mistakes building it. And then it's just final assembly for all of our parts, basically. So we're almost done. I would not at all be surprised if we finish next stream. Things might go wrong with the thermal propulsion rocket factory. I think is still non-functional, so we might need to go through and fix that again, but that might take extra time. But other than that, I think we should be all good to go. So that's going to be it for today. Thanks ever for hanging out. I will see you guys next time. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm playing, I'm going to be doing Factorio tomorrow and Satisfactory the day after, so on Thursday. And that's about it. Thanks ever for hanging out. Make sure to follow so you know when I'm live, and I will see you guys.